All right, for this one, we're going to go ahead and make a coat hanger. You can customize it however you want, but this is how I did mine. We're going to start by creating a new design. And in this one, I believe I did it in inches, so let's do inches. Let me just double check my dimensions real quick. Yeah. We're in inches, we're good. Create new sketch. What view am I on? XY. So I'm going to select the XY plane. And I created a triangle. You can tell I did put a line in the middle as a vertical line. So I'm going to do a construction line in the middle from here to the midpoint. Notice how when I'm clicking, I have a little triangle. That's the midpoint of that top line. And then when I vertical constrain it, look what's going to happen. It straightens that line out. But I also want this top line to be straight, so I click on that one, and it does a horizontal constraint. So now these two will be equal. I don't have a dimension for this, so let me I'm going to make it 1.75. Dimension this one 1.75. And the dimension on this one looks like I did 2 plus 2.5. So this one, this top part is 2.5. We'll adjust it if we need to later. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do a fillet command on each of the corners. And this one's going to be 0.25. Got to be careful. I have construction on. Let me turn that back off. Fillet. Take the construction off if you have it. 0.25. And then the bottom one. Fillet. 0.25. These are my final dimensions. Then we're going to keep going. Finish sketch. All right. So now that we have this, we're going to extrude that. And I believe I extruded it 1/4 of an inch. Let me just double check. Yes, 1/4 of an inch. So 0.25. 0.25. There we go. And now I have an extruded, filleted triangle. The next step is we're going to put our little hooks. And the way I did that is I created a slot command. I created a new sketch. The radius is 0.125 and the length is 0.5. And it looks like this one is parallel with this one, and it's also perpendicular constraint with this. All right. Click on sketch, click on this plane, create, slot, and then 0.125. Now I need to have a construction line to mark this. So I'm going to add a line, make sure it's a construction line. And I'm selecting the center of this circle, of this arc here. And you can see that it automatically tries to connect to it. And I'm going to connect to the circle on this side, the arc center. I'm going to do the same thing all around. Then I'm going to do what's called a coincident constraint. Coincident constraint joins the center of this circle with this line, the center of this circle with this line. And then we're going to do a perpendicular constraint with this and this one. Notice how it's kind of angled and stretched out. So I'm going to get out of my command, because you'll notice that it's still in the command. You got to get out of it. Right click, click cancel, or hit escape. And I want this to be roughly about right there. There's a couple of different ways to do that. You just dimension this line to this line, put 0.5, and then we're done. You can adjust that however you want. Finish sketch. We're done with that sketch. And this is important because we're going to be doing what's called a sweep command. So we're going to draw where it's going to sweep from. So we're going to take this and we're going to make it go like out. And just to give an example, this is what the sweep command second line is. It's just going to have an arc. And this one I arced it at 1 inch. So I'm going to draw on this face here. So when I create sketch, I'm clicking on this side face right there. And you can see that there's a point right there. That's where I'm going to start my arc. And I want this one to be 0.25. It's a 1 inch arc, not 0.25, 1 inch. I don't want the hook to pass the top part here. You could determine how high you want it. I'm going to try to do a horizontal constraint with this and this. It's not going to work. So maybe I'm just going to have to draw a line, like a construction line. And then this, I could do a coincident constraint to there. Okay, so now I have my arc and then I have my line. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on create, click on sweep. And then our profile is what we want sweeping. So this is the slot command. And the path is this arc. Now I think it's a little bit too much. But that's okay. I'm still going to click join. Right? And what I could do is I can just go back to the previous sketch, right click, edit sketch, and then I can see how it's a little too high. I could do a project geometry. And then you know what? I'm going to also project geometry on this circle. That way I can know where that circle is. Then I'm going to do a coincident constraint on this and this. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension this line and this line to 0.75. And let's see what it looks like. I feel like it's a little too high. I'm going to lower it. 0.5. That's better. Okay, next step. We are going to mirror this command. Notice how we're mirroring a actual part instead of mirroring a sketch, but it's still under create, mirror. And I'm mirror a feature. There's bodies, faces, features, components. Mirror plane. And I'm going to select this line right here. And now I have those two pieces. All right, next step, do a fillet command. I'm going to fillet this part. I'm going to fillet this part. And I'm going to kind of look to see what looks good. I think 0.1. That looks good. Fillet command the top of these two. Let me try 0.1 and see what that looks like. They didn't like that. 0.05. Yeah, 0.05 is good. And then all that's left is the two holes. I'm going to create sketch. And I'm going to collect this part. And then I'm going to draw 2 points. We didn't really do points before. When I click on a point, I'm going to have a point there. And a point there. And I'm going to dimension them 1 inch. And because I have 2 points, what I could do is I can now use the hole command. And I can do both of these holes together. Distance all. I'm going to do a countersink. Simple. Point 2. And then 0.125. And that's it. Coat hanger, save, and you got yourself a new coat hanger. You can actually go back and adjust the hooks any way you want. Even after you finish CADing, you can come back into your command and you can adjust your arc. So if you don't want that to be 0.5, you can do 0.4. If you don't want that arc to be 0.1, you can do 0.9. Or even 0.75. And it will adjust it automatically down the line. I think this is actually pretty good.